Okay guys, I'm doing a part 2 of the blood glucose because I probably should. So I was doing the rant, a woman asked me on my Facebook, what's the deal with your glucose throughout the day? So what I was explaining in the last video, that if your blood glucose is spiking, especially as you start keto, it's probably because you have some kind of metabolic derangement in the body that you're not aware of. A lot of people have allergies, food sensitivities, they have candida, they have some arthritis in their joints, they don't sleep well, they're overstimulated at their job or with their families, too much EMF poisoning, or the traffic jams of the body is blocked up, your detoxification pathways can be blocked up. Traffic jam, honk, 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 honk. Okay, so these are some of the concepts, like, you know, your hormones could be out of balance because your adrenals and your midbrain. Yes, serotonin, the amino acids are compromised in your body. Yes. So, what's the deal? And brain. Your neurotransmitters, your synapses are got you in a lurch. So, your thermostat could be off, right? Thyroid thermostat, yes. Too hot, too cold, you're running hot, 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 cold, 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 cold hands, cold feet, your hair's coming out. Which that's kind of an interesting subject in itself, because I get a lot of people who are like, they don't understand that if your body's stressed out, like why your glucose spikes, and everybody should have a glucometer in their home. But what's very, very fascinating is that if you actually really think about things that stress you out, you would think, oh, an argument, you would think a car accident, a bill, a death in the family. Yes, these are obvious injury, these are obvious stresses, but the way the body works, which I explained in the last video, is that you are in this kind of catabolic, anabolic, and your body's building up and breaking down all day long, but you go from the parasympathetic state in the morning to the sympathetic. This is very, very quite interesting, because once you get home around 5, you need to start decompressing, but people don't. They crank up, and then they don't get into a deep rested sleep. And so a lot of people are falling asleep out of pure exhaustion, and they're like, I get 8 hours of sleep. I go to bed from 1 to 9 a.m. Or, 1 a.m. to 9 a.m. And I'm like, gosh, you guys got it backwards. The body is so complicated, but it's amazing once you get it right. So what's the deal with the glucose? Well, what we want to do is we want our fasted glucose to be low in the morning to get into ketosis. So what would that be? And I've said before, 80 milligrams per deciliter, or 4.4 millimolars. Now, I didn't read this. I figured this out from coaching so many people. So it's very, very interesting, because I've had everybody use glucometers, not breathalyzers, no urine strips, straight up glucose monitor and ketone values. So very, very, very interesting. And then I have people journal, which that's a whole other subject. I really think that you guys need to journal, because I'll have consultations with people and I'm like, they've been doing it for a long time before they came to me, and I was like, did you journal anything? They just started sending me like their cholesterol numbers and you know, what their fasted glucose was one day 3 years ago when they went to their doctor, or if they have a glucometer, their blood values nonstop, and I'm like, their glucose and their ketones. I'm like, did you do a sleep journal? Did you do an inflammation journal, a burping journal, a farting journal? Yeah, because if you're burping all the time, you got some low stomach acid. And if you got low stomach acid, you got high glucose. That's why your glucose is spiking. That's why you can't get into ketosis. Because if the brain has to compete between sugar and fat, fat's going to win. That's why we have to drive down our glucose, drive down our carbohydrates that we eat. We have to get into a parasympathetic state as the evening starts, so we can drop that glucose and actually use the viable ketones that get wasted in the urine. Yes, I'm so excited, as I always am. Yes, 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 business. Okay. So your blood glucose ranges. I'm going to stick this in solid, right? You want to be under 80 milligrams per deciliter. Now some of you guys reach a 57 milligrams per deciliter. Is that low? Yes. Do I see lower than that? Not very often. Unless you really have hypoglycemia, which is a terrible, terrible condition of not being able to manage your blood glucose. So all of these factors that can raise it back up, like IGF-1 and gluconeogenesis and glucagon, these things are not working properly. So your insulin's not working, and all these other things to drive back up your glucose to baseline is not working. So if you get your glucose down to the 50s and you're shaky, or 60s, and you're shaky in the 70s, shaky, then you're not using ketones and you're hypoglycemic, and that's a hot mess for the adrenals. For the whole body, actually. So, alright, what are we going to do about this? And what about the other numbers? This is very rare. Normally when people get their blood glucose under 80 or 4.4 millimolars, they're using ketones. And it's quite interesting that people go from, they don't got the Steph energy, because I've been doing this 6 years. And you know what? There's all these other people who might have done it longer, but there's nobody who is strict 6 years as myself. No refeeding at all. At all. No sweet fruits, no wine, no cheese, no alcohol, nothing to spike my blood glucose back up. No cheating. Now, some of the stuff might have been stuck into my food, but I haven't refed. Not at all. So that's why my mentality or my application of keto is such. Because I've coached so many people who are not getting into ketosis. It was really kind of depressing in the beginning because I had such great success. And so I left in these foods because I read in books from PhD doctors, go do some MSG and eat some cheese. But it really wasn't until I started reading Nora Gagaudis' work, I was like, okay, duh, like this woman's like genius. I can only be so worthy to come even close to her level of enlightenment. So, you gotta get your glucose down because you gotta get strict. And I don't mean become obsessive compulsive. I mean be happy about it. Feel though that this is a journey to get your blood sugar to balance, because keto is absolutely fantastic for people who've got prediabetes or diabetics. And you know, keto is good for everyone. If it's done properly, it's amazing. Babies, breastfed, pregnant, whatever. But if you don't do it right, it's not for you. Don't do it. It's not that keto is not for everyone. It's for everyone. Because it's primal. It's the way our bodies are designed. But with that said, if you don't do it right, if you do not do whatever it takes, you're wasting my time and your time. So I did a video a couple days ago about a woman. She had an infection in the back of her head, and she took antibiotics, and they're awful, and there's like a backslap reaction. It obliterates your gut flora, and it really compromises your immune system. And so, you know, she was like, I had to. And I was like, once I started analyzing her life, we started going through things, she was staying up too late, her sleep sucked. And I was like, if you had just gone to bed early, that infection would have healed on its own. And now all you've done is destroyed your immune system for anything else that's going to come your way. Then what are you going to do next time? More antibiotics? And then you're going to become resistant to that antibiotic? So here we go. It's a cascading domino effect of messy massness of that. So here we go. What are we going to do? What's the deal with the glucose, right? So I don't go all over the place. Blood glucose, yes, can be within ranges. If you are highly adapted, your glucose literally should spike as high as 83, 4.1, 4.6, not higher. Now, you can still be in ketosis and have a 4.9. You can still be in ketosis and have a glucose of 86, but you're going to be using less ketones and more glucose. So if you really want to be highly adapted and have that energy and have your systems heal from using slow-burning ketones that are great for your DNA, for your genetics, And then you got to get strict. You got to get your ass to bed. I'll say it over and over and over again. Because just because you go to bed at 1 a.m. and wake up at 9 does not mean that A, you're sleeping, or B, you've connected to the circadian rhythm. Because what time is it right now? It's 5:30, but Steph's still got energy. But as soon as I turn off this camera, I will unwind. I'll answer some emails, which will try to crank me back up. But then I'll be like, chill. Because as I get older and as I get into my 50s, I want to be a lean, mean, keto-making machine. I got stuff to do, guys. I don't have time to age. So, by evening time, most people have some, if you have metabolic damage, you're going to have a postprandial slump dip, slump of energy, spike of glucose in the afternoon. It's very common. But what we want to look for is for that glucose to drop by the time you get into that parasympathetic state in the evening. If your glucose is remaining high all day long, you need to look at yourself closer because you're not doing it. You keep thinking that you're so chill, you keep thinking you're doing everything, you have your macros on point, but you really don't. Classically, most of you don't eat enough fat. And you don't eat enough animal fat. You think you can get by with avocados and olive oil and coconut oil? No. You have to get at least 50% of your fat from animal fat. What kind? Beef tallow, duck fat, goose fat, lard. Fatty meats. No lean meats. No. Our hunter-gatherers didn't eat frickin' egg whites and tuna. What planet are you guys on? We ate the brain. We ate the eyeballs. We ate the tongue. We ate the organ meats. We ate the marrow. Very fatty. Chock filled with vitamins and minerals. Make your damn bone broth. I'll have a consultation like, have you started making bone broth? What's that? And I was like, what? Oh my goodness. Okay. Oh my goodness. So you guys, yeah. Like I said, you want your fasted glucose to be checked first thing out of bed before you pee, before you run, walk, exercise, eat anything. Have a talk with anyone. Test, check your glucose. Ketones once a week, glucose every day. Ketones once a week as much as you can afford it. Let's keep it real. Hizio. Glucose can be checked 3 times a day. For those who feel that they have extreme blood sugar fluctuations, test post-workout by an hour. Test your glucose an hour and 20 minutes to 2 hours post-lunch or an afternoon meal. Use your glucometer to test for inflammation. Test for foods. Can you do dairy? Well, even that's subjective. Can you do chia seeds, which some people, glucose spikes, and some people doesn't. Typically, sorry guys, I've coached a lot of people, so for these stupid freaking message boards that think they've got it right, you're wrong. Too much protein in everybody spikes your glucose. And you wouldn't know because you're not using a glucometer. Ugh. So, yes, you want your glucose to start dropping down to AM fasted numbers before you go to bed. So it's not that you've got to test all day, every day, but if you actually want to see what your numbers are throughout the day, a couple of times only, yes, fasted in the morning, hour to 2 hours post-lunch, and in the evening before you go to bed by, what, an hour, 45 minutes? Yes. Or post-workout. Some people become insulin sensitive, some people become insulin resistant. Or, no, not become. Sorry. Some people become insulin sensitive and it drops their glucose post-workout, and some people actually have a spike in glucose. Their GLUT4 receptor sites aren't uptaking the glucose. So you got to work on that, y'all. Just yoga itself is not enough. Okay, guys, if you want to learn more, go to StephaniePerson.com, Stephanie Business Person, my Facebook fan page, or Stephanie Ketogenic. And I've got some more videos to do. Peace out. Bink.